Hi everyone, Cayman Reynolds here again, and I'm going to show you the opposite of what I did in the last video. What are the qualities of a good queen? Check out this pattern. You know, there's a couple missed spots in there. You know, that's just one frame. There's roughly about 3,750 cells on each side of this frame. A queen that lays like that is going to fill up a hive and fast. The thing of it is, in most of the places where the queen does not have brood, there is either bits of pollen or nectar down in there. And this is also real important for you to know, because sometimes you can have a high quality queen, but due to either you not giving them enough space or you overfeeding them, or it could be just there's a lot of nectar coming in, and a lot of times it means you didn't give them space when they need it. They'll start backfilling in those cells. And so you could have a bad looking pattern, not because the queen lays bad patterns, but because she just doesn't have enough space. And a lot of times, as soon as a bee will emerge out of one of these cells, the queen and the honeybees will go in there and just fill it up full of pollen and nectar, because they have nowhere else to go with it. So ideally what you want to see, and this is the third frame from the right. So ideally, with a good queen, you want to see brood in this frame. You want to see, with any frame that's in the middle of the hive, you want to see honey up top. You can see how this honey's not capped very much. There's just a little bit over in here. You can see where there's just honey down in there. Good stuff. And you want to see, maybe a little bit of pollen in there, but you don't have to have this much brood on a frame. But you do need to have a significant amount of brood on your frames, and you don't want to have a lot of sugar syrup down in there. So that's kind of segueing off of my original topic, but it is something that we have a lot of problems with. The beekeepers that buy nukes from us is that they get them to swarm, and they're little bitty colonies, but they feed them too much, and then they backfill the nest, and as soon as the queen starts getting to where she can't find room to lay, the bees get the swarm tendency. And even with big colonies, one of the things that we do is try to keep that queen in empty comb to lay. That is the number one thing you can do to prevent swarming, is just always have enough room for that queen to lay. So, I mean, look at that queen right there. I mean, that's just a great pattern. This hive is getting another box today, and this split was made about a month and a half ago, so that's not too bad. They were a little bit smaller than a nuke when we made them. Let me grab this smoker. It's a high quality dated smoker. I have literally been using this smoker all morning. I got up 15 minutes after I got up. I was out here working on the bees, and it is 4 o'clock now. So this was off of one light. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to get your smoker going quickly and keep it going. And different types of fuels to use. Now, as you can see, I'm not smoking these bees alive. Now, I don't have a veil on today, and that's mainly because, if you can hear it in the video, we are in the middle of a honey flow. Plus, this is a young colony. Young colonies typically are much less aggressive, and that is because the old forager bees are the ones that come after you, because they're the ones that fly. And right now, since there's a lot of honey and pollen coming in, they're busy collecting nectar and pollen all over the place. They're too busy to fool with you. Now, they'll still come after you if you don't treat them right, but small colonies like this are very gentle. Now, if you go over to some of our bigger colonies, that veil's going to really come in handy. As you can see, we're not really trying to smoke the bees that are down in the frames. We're trying to smoke the bees that are on top of the frames. These are typically your guard bees, your middle-aged bees. So we're just going to, pry a frame here. That's what a hive tool is for, right? And just slow movements. We're not in any hurry. Alright, look at that. That's great. Now this side right here, it doesn't have as good of looking of a pattern, but you probably can't see it in the video, but there's a bunch of fuzzy young bees that are popping out of these cells right now. So probably over the course of the day, this is all going to be empty space, and the queen can smell that these bees are hatching out, and she is attracted to that space. She can smell that pheromone of newly hatched bees, and so she's going to work her way over here and lay this up again, as long as the bees have enough space to where they're not going to backfill this with nectar and pollen. And in the video you probably can't see, but these frames on the right are very full of honey. They have a lot of white wax on them where the bees are making, of course, the new wax, which is white. It darkens due to their feet, which creates a sticky substance, and that causes the combs to darken on the outside over time. And then, of course, as the queen lays in there and they go through their metamorphosis and they make their cocoons in those cells, that also darkens your combs. That does not mean your combs are nasty. That just means that they've been used. And I have combs that are literally 15 years old with bees light. So anywho, we don't need to go through every one of these frames. We don't even need to find the queen. There's some eggs actually in this frame here and some young larvae. So we know that the queen's busy, and we know that there's a queen in there within the last couple of days, because eggs can only be about 3.5 days old before they hatch. So we don't need to find the queen. We don't need to disturb this colony. What we're going to do is take these 2 frames of brood, we're going to put them in another box. We're going to put either drawn comb or foundation next to these frames. Put a couple drawn combs down there in the bottom so the queen has more room to lay. That's going to, having this brood up in the top box is going to encourage the bees to come up, because they have to keep this brood warm in order for them to survive. So they're going to have to move up in that second box, and we are going to get our bees to grow up in there. This colony is on the way up. You either give a colony like this space here in the next few days, because when all these bees bust out, if you don't, they are going to be swarming literally within 7 to 10 days. So anywho, this is what a good hive looks like. A good quality queen that was mated properly and is in the middle of a flow. Thanks for watching the video.